I'd like to welcome y'all back to the Beyond the Fear podcast, the place where y'all come for some words of encouragement, uplifting, and just a positive message. Today's episode is actually a good one. I was talking with a few of my friends, and we were just sitting there talking, just going back and forth about some things, and I just started to notice how all of us were just competing with our trauma, and it was just like wow, and it made me realize like wow, we really do wear our trauma like badges of honors. You know what I'm saying? We wear our trauma, we treat our traumas like they're trophies. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like we were just talking about like how we were raised and things like that, and it was just like everybody was trying to top the other person. Oh well, I had to do this at this age, and oh well, I had to start taking like for me, I'm and again, like I said, it was all of us, so it was me included. So I'm talking about, I had to start taking care of like my brother at a young age, or just watching out for him, while my mom worked, and how it kind of just took away from my childhood, because I had to kind of be an adult figure, a father figure for him, and and everybody else we're all just telling our stories, and it just made me realize that man, we really treat our trauma like trophies, and I don't know why. I honestly do not know why, but man, we kind of sat there. Once I realized that, we kind of sat there and we talked about it for the longest time. But man, we gotta stop. We gotta stop doing that. We gotta stop treating our traumas like they're trophies and just treating them for like what they really are, just our traumas, things that we have to heal from, things that we have to um, start letting go of, because we hold on to those things so tight. And you know what I'm saying? At least us, when I say us, I just mean like me and my homeboys. We treat them like they're trophies. We treat them like it's something, like it's a badge of honor, and really, it's not. Really, is. But I guess because you see so many people go through it, I know I've talked about it before, but for the longest time, I used to think like, man, I don't need my dad in my life. I don't need my dad in my life, and the reason why I felt that way is because so many people from where I'm from didn't have their dads in their lives. It was literally normal. I could count on one hand how many of my friends had their mom and their dad in their lives, and how many of them. And I don't think any. Well, I won't say any of them because I honestly can't remember like right off the top of my head. But I don't. I know for sure it wasn't many who may have had just their dad. So for me, I didn't realize it was trauma because it looked normal to me. It looked normal to go to a friend's house or go to my house and not see a, a male figure, father figure there, to just see the mom, and that was it. So I didn't even realize that that was a big deal, because again, where I grew up, when I go to my friend's house or they come to mine, it's normal not to see, a father there. You know what I'm saying? So I didn't realize. I wasn't thinking about, oh, I'm in this endless cycle, or I'm a part of the cycle, I'm a part of a statistic, I'm this, I'm that. I'm just looking at it like it's normal life. So we become so used to it, it becomes numbing to us, you know what I'm saying? We go through so much trauma, but because that's the norm, because that's what, when we step outside, especially growing up, when we stepped outside, those things that we saw were just normal things to see. So we don't see it as trauma. We just see it as normal life. I wasn't the only one who had to take care of a younger or maybe even an older sibling, because you were the responsible one, or you were deemed as the responsible, strong one. So I wasn't the only one who had to be responsible and strong and dependable, reliable, all of these things at a young age. It was just a normal thing. So I also didn't look at it as trauma. I didn't look at it as a bad thing. I just looked at it as normal. Like, hey, this is life. Everybody goes through it. And it isn't until you start to get older, maybe in middle school, high school, maybe even college, you know what I'm saying? Because even in middle school, I was still around a lot of the same, middle school and high school, I was still around a lot of the same people. So it isn't until you really graduate, start working, start getting around new people, and you start to realize, oh, okay, not everybody's life is like that. Not everybody has to go through the same or very similar things that you go through in this life. And then you start to realize, oh, okay, what I went through isn't normal. What I went through was like, some tough bad experiences. You don't think it's a bad experience because it doesn't scar you. And again, I feel like the reason, I'm gonna speak for me, the reason why it didn't scar me was because I'm watching other people go through it as well. So it isn't like I'm the only one who doesn't have a dad, so now I'm feeling sad about it. No, no. I mean, very few of us had our dads there. Very few of us, you know, had could live that life of, you didn't have to grow up fast. You didn't have to. You could stay. You could be a child your whole childhood. Very few of us had that. So, I didn't look at it as a trauma because I looked at it like it was normal. A lot of people were going through what I was going through, so I didn't look at it like, why me? Oh, this isn't fair. This is this. This. I just looked at it like normal life because everybody went through it, and so. And honestly, now that I'm thinking about it, maybe that's why we talk about it, because it's normal life. It's no, for us, well, for me, it would be no different than somebody just talking about their dog that they had. Like, yeah, no, but I say that, and I guess that would be true if we just talked about it. But I think the part that's kind of, or the part that was like, why do we do this, was just the competing part. We were just competing, like who had it worse. You know what I'm saying? And that mentality I'm definitely trying to get rid of, because I'm not trying to I don't want to out trauma anybody. I don't want to out trauma my friends. I don't want to out trauma people that I'm getting to know. I want to try to break these curses, and I want to break that trauma. I want to heal from that trauma. I want to be able to just talk about that trauma and move on from it. I don't want to compete with people trying to out trauma them, and I for sure don't want to continue treating my trauma like it's a trophy, or like it's a badge of honor, because it's definitely not. It's held me back. Like a lot of things that I went through that I didn't even think about have just been holding me back, and they've kind of been hindering me without me even noticing, because it's become so part of my everyday life, and it has molded my personality and the way I think from such a young age that you don't even realize it, because as you're developing, I was going through my traumas and developing all at the same time. So, I'm not even thinking about, wow, going through this. Because again, at the time that I'm going through it, I don't look at it as trauma. I just look at it as normal life. Everybody goes through it. Like if you got 20 of my friends, I mean, a lot of us are going to have the same things. A lot of us are going to share the same similar stories. A lot of us are going to, they might be on different levels, it might be different extremes to it, but we're going to tell some of the same stories, some of the same things that we went through. So when I'm looking at it, and when I'm in the moment and I'm looking at it, I don't look at it like it's trauma. I don't look at it like it's a bad life. I look at it like it's normal life. That's what normal life to me looked like. Normal life to me at that time looked like a single parent home, that parent working 2, 3 jobs, might be off on the weekends. Y'all get to do something on the weekends, but during the week, you gotta be big brother and father figure. You know what I'm saying? You gotta make sure everything is kind of lined up, doing what you're supposed to be doing, and if it's not, you gotta take accountability and responsibility for that. So you would be the one to get in trouble. Like even if I wasn't the one who broke something, he broke it under my watch. So I still had to, you know what I'm saying? So everybody has those similar stories. So you're not looking at it like, oh, what was me? You looking at it like, yeah, I just went through that too. You know what I'm saying? You just literally looking at it like it's everyday life. So I think that's why a lot of us don't, a lot of my friends and I, we don't look at it as trauma. We just look at it as everyday life, because everybody was going through it. It wasn't like it was unique to us. You know what I'm saying? Oh, it was only unique to one person. You know what I'm saying? It was like, nah, everybody was going through some form of something, and everybody could relate to almost, I won't say everything, but almost everything that somebody was going through, almost everything that you were going through, you had a friend or two who could relate, because they're going through either the exact same thing or something very similar. So it never, it never felt like trauma again until you really got to school and you started to meet other people. But around the neighborhood, it never really felt like trauma. You know what I'm saying? Because everybody, for the most part, was in the same boats. Now you had some people who had some money. You had some people who, came into some money or whatever. But and it's so crazy because you would look at them like they were the they were the outsiders or they were the weirdos or whatever, you know what I'm saying? But, for the most part, everybody kind of went through the exact same thing that you went through. And so, I mean, that was just like that was just the thought that was going through my head at some point during our conversation, because it was like, man, no matter what we were talking about, it was always somebody trying to out trauma the other person. And it's like, why do we do this? Like, why are we trying to do it? Why are we trying to minimize ourselves to our traumas, and we sitting here literally competing about traumas? Like, if we're gonna compete about something, let's compete about, positive things. Who's starting their business? Who's doing this? Who's doing that? You know what I'm saying? But we were literally competing and wearing our traumas as trophies. But I mean, and we've been doing that. You know what I'm saying? I know it's people who proud that they went to jail so many times, and they proud that they went at this young of age, and they proud that they quote unquote jumped off the porch, at such a young age and things like that. And it's just like, man, it's so crazy, the things that we're proud of and the things that we wear as badges of honors and things that we cherish and treat like trophies. It's like our mentality is so crazy at times, and it's so backwards because we celebrate some of the craziest things. And I can't sit here and judge nobody because I do the same things. And even if I didn't, I have no room to judge because I'm not perfect. I have enough flaws to where I couldn't judge anybody for anything that they do. But it just got me to thinking like, man, that is crazy. The things that we celebrate, you know what I'm saying, are the things that we even think are worth celebrating. It's like, how messed up do our mindsets have to be to think that some of the things that we went through are things to celebrate and things to compete over. And I mean, for me, that just goes to show that we didn't look at that, and some of us still don't, because I'm not gonna sit here and act like I looked at it as a trophy, because I looked at it as something to be proud of. I'm not gonna lie to you. For the longest time, people would be like, "Oh man, you so wise, or you so smart for your age." And again, I don't think that that's a bad thing. I think the bad thing is why I was so smart, because I was, you know what I'm saying, I'm gonna just say it, forced to grow up. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't allowed to be a child. And sometimes it's okay to be a child. Sometimes it's okay to be silly at 8. You shouldn't have to be wise at 10. You shouldn't have to know certain things about the world at 12. You know what I'm saying? You should just be allowed to be a kid and have fun and enjoy certain things, because when you don't, and you start, it changes your view on the world. And I think I've told this story before on here, but that's why I don't really get big into my birthday and the Christmas, because instead of just focusing on having fun, having a party, having, cake and all of these things, I focused on, okay, is mama going to be able to afford this? Is mama going to be able, how many friends would I be able to invite without, stretching the pockets and stretching the budget and things like that? So I stopped wanting things. Well, it's not that I didn't stop wanting things. I just stopped asking for things, because, of course, you're going to see a toy, you're going to see something, and as a kid, you're going to want it. So there was things, I still wanted things, but I just stopped asking because I didn't want to burden people. And I still do that to this day. It's hard for me to ask for help because I don't want to burden anybody. I feel like it's a burden to people. And so I'm still bothered by that to this very day. I won't ask. I might need it. I might really, really need it. And I'm not going to ask anybody for anything. You know what I'm saying? And so, and man, I'm just not realizing right now that's probably why I'm like that. So, but yeah, I used to wear that as like a badge of honor. I used to feel good. Like people be like, "Oh, you so smart for your age, or you so wise for your age, or you done been here before." And it's like it felt good to be. It felt good to be praised. You know what I'm saying, and talked about in such a positive way. But now that I look back on it, it's like, no, you should. You should. Not saying you should go out and do anything illegal or anything, but there's nothing wrong with having fun and doing silly stuff and making some bad and making some honest mistakes at a young age, which I still did those things as well. But it was just like when I really stopped and think about it now, because like again after that conversation, it really got me to really thinking about things, and even just sitting here, trying to reflect on my thoughts, or put my thoughts to words and actually speaking my thoughts out loud, I'm starting to just kind of see things. But yeah, it's just that really, because like I said, I used to be proud of that. I used to be like, yeah, no, I've been pretty wise, pretty smart for a little while. You know what I'm saying? And honestly, I can honestly say that even though, yes, I would say that I've been on more of a mature level from a very young age when it comes to certain things, because I'm still a funny, goofy person. I still love to laugh. I still love to have fun. So I'm going to do that because I love to make people smile. You know what I'm saying? I don't really like when people, I mean, if we having a serious conversation, cool. But I feel like if we're all laughing, I don't like for people to just be kind of just sitting off to the side, frowning, because they may have, something may have been said to where they're now offended. We were all smiling, laughing together, and now this person got offended by something. I mean, it may have been unintentional, and this person may have gotten sad, and now they don't want to. And now, my natural instinct is just to try to pick this person back up, to get them back, into the groove of things and wanting to have fun. So it's kind of like, you know, I don't even focus on the fun and the laughter anymore. I'm focused on trying to see what's wrong with this person to try to get them, back in the mood of laughing, and you know what I'm saying? Because now I feel bad, you know what I'm saying? If I'm sitting there having fun and this person, especially once I notice it, now if I don't notice it, then I'm not thinking about it. But once I clock it, all that person was just laughing with us. Now they're sitting there kind of moping. Now I'm going to want to know why you're sad, and you know what I'm saying, if there's anything I can do to help. And so, man, it's just a lot. And I think that conversation and all the thoughts that came after that conversation with my friends, and then all the thoughts that came after that conversation has just got me realizing like how much my trauma has molded me, like how much all the stuff that I went through as a child has molded me, and things that I thought were positive things may not be as positive as I thought, because I always thought that it was, like I said before, I always thought it was a good thing to be mature and, oh, you got a good head on your shoulders. And it is good. I don't want to sit here and say that it's not a good thing. It is a good thing. But I think the reason why I'm so mature and the reason why I have a good head on my shoulders is the part that's hurting, is the part that I think hurt my development. Because I think it's one thing if you just naturally listen to your parents are giving you good advice, you listen to it and you get wise, or you start to develop your maturity and stuff through listening to your parents. Now that don't mean you still go out and you do some things here and there, and it's like once you start to see, oh, I messed up here, dad did tell me that, or I do something this way, and I'm like, mama though told me not to do that. So of course you got to get your wisdom through experience. So of course you're going to experience things, but I think when you can just take the knowledge, soak the knowledge in, and apply that knowledge to your life. Of course, like I said, we're human, so of course we're still going to make mistakes. We're still going to make bad decisions. But, you know what I'm saying, we can apply the knowledge that we're given from the people who've been through it before us and apply it into our life. Okay, that's the way. That's the way that I would have preferred to been the mature and have a good head on my shoulder, as opposed to having situations thrust upon me, and being pushed out of there, pushed out into the world, if you want to say, you know what I'm saying, because I had to leave. I had to leave a lot of my childhood behind, you know what I'm saying, and I had to kind of be that shield for my brother, so that way he could still have his childhood. That way he could still not have to see, like, you know, mama crying or and things like that. And, you know, he could just enjoy being a kid, because one thing that I realized now that I'm looking back on it now is that wasn't a fun place to be in, where you're a kid, you see things going on, but you don't have the power to do anything. You don't have the power to change anything. And you know, you're struggling and you're stressing, and it's like you have nobody to turn to, you have nobody to talk to. So it's like, why would you want anybody else to go through this? So you doing everything in your power to make sure that your brother can just, or your younger sibling, whoever it is, can just have a peaceful, you know, just childhood. So even so, there were times when you didn't want him to come with you when you going out to hang with your friends. You know what I'm saying? You know, as you get older, as you become like a teenager, but you know, they just so used to being around you that that's all they want to do. So it's kind of tough, you know what I'm saying? Because you love them to death, but it's like, man, you've been attached to my hip for years, you know what I'm saying? Now I just want to be able to just do some things solo. So I know I remember when I went through that phase of where I'm getting to that age where my brother can't go everywhere that I go, but he wanted to, you know what I'm saying? Because he probably looking at me like his best friend, so he wanted to go places I was going, but he really couldn't go. And you know, it was a piece of me that it kind of tore me up when that was going on. But I'm so glad that, you know, he started to develop, he started to get friends and things like that, and started to move in his own path and do his own thing. So, you know, that was always good. But yeah, it was definitely tough, because it's hard trying to be responsible when you don't even know what responsibility is. It's hard trying to be a role model when, again, you don't even know what a role model is. And it's a very tough job, because, again, me and my brother are just 2 years apart. So I'm literally learning. I don't know these things. It'd be different if we were like 8 years apart, and you know what I'm saying, but we literally 2 years apart. So you know, it ain't like I have any experience. I'm sitting here doing stuff and I'm trying, and he just, you know what I'm saying, whenever we're around each other, he looking at me trying to do what I do. So it was just like, it was tough, because I didn't know how to be responsible. I didn't know how to be a role model. I didn't know how to be a positive light in his life. So, you know, he just kind of, it just sucked, you know what I'm saying? So you do. So, I mean, you know, I'm doing my best to get an understanding of it. But at first I was fighting it, because at first I'm mad. Like, why am I getting in trouble for what he did? He did it. So again, because mind you, like I said, I didn't understand responsibility. I didn't understand accountability. And again, now that I just say that accountable word, I think that might be one of the reasons why I get so frustrated with people when they aren't accountable with me, when they don't want to take accountability and responsibility for their words and their actions. I guess that's one of the reasons why I get so frustrated, is because that was one of the things that was literally punished into me, was being responsible. Like, you're responsible for your brother, so while you're watching him, if he breaks something now, it's just as if you broke it. So, you know what I'm saying? I think that responsibility and accountability is something that runs deep for me. So I think that's why I get so frustrated with people when it comes to just be accountable for what you do and what you say. You know what I'm saying? And man, but I mean, again, that just goes to show you that, you know, I'm going through my traumas and I'm developing at the same time. So, you know, I think that a lot of my traumas developed a lot of my characteristics, and I think that's why, you know, I I have so much work to do, but at the same time, I think that's why I'm so happy with at least the progress that I've made up to this point, because, I'm fighting, what is that? I'm fighting probably over, if we being real, let's say I'm probably fighting like over 20 years of bad habits being formed. You know what I'm saying? So, I got a lot of work to do, but I'm doing it. I'm in the process of doing it. I'm getting better with it every single day. I do have my setbacks. I do have my stumbles. I do have my triggers, but I'm doing better. I'm learning. I'm growing. I'm continuing to do what I need to do. And as long as I'm getting better each and every day, each and every week, each and every month, and each and every year, that's all I can ask for. I can't expect to get rid of, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm saying, over 20 years of trauma and bad habits and things like that. I can't expect to get rid of it overnight, but I got to continue putting the work in, and I can't get discouraged when I have a bad day or when I get triggered and have a bad moment or react bad because I got triggered or whatever the case may be, because those things are going to come. It's just life. I'm human, so those things are going to happen, but I just got to keep pushing forward, and that's what I got to continue to remind myself, is I have a long journey ahead of me, but I'm in such a better place than I was just a few months ago, just a year ago. So, the progress has been good. It may have been slow at times, but I mean, progress is still progress, even if it's just a step a day. You know what I'm saying? You're still moving a step forward a day. You're still moving forward, and as long as I'm moving forward in the right direction, I won't complain about it. So, you know, But yeah, man, I think that we definitely have to stop wearing our traumas as trophies and quit treating them like they're badges of honor. And again, I'm saying that as somebody who's done that, somebody who's still doing that. Like I said, we literally had this conversation, I want to say like 3-4 days ago. So it's very recent. It's something that something that I'm still doing. You know what I'm saying? I can't stop anybody else from, doing what they do. So, but that is something that I want to try doing. I want to try actively catching myself when I see myself trying to wear something as a trauma, or even worse, trying to out compete somebody else's trauma. I want to try to catch myself. So I'm making that note to myself to be accountable from that standpoint of not trying to compete with somebody and trying to actively out trauma them, or you know what I'm saying, trying to take over their story, because it might not even start off as them trying to compete. They might just be trying to tell me a story about, something that they went through, or why they act the way they act now, it's because of something that they went through. And I hear that, or somebody in our group, we hear that, and it's like, oh, I went through that, but mine's was da 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 da. And now we trying to outdo it, and it may have not even started out that way. And it's just like we got to get out of that mentality, you know what I'm saying, where and I don't know what it is, because I don't want to call it like a victim's mentality, because I don't, and that might be the right word for it, but because I don't know, I don't want to sit here and try to diagnose something. But whatever it is, we got to get out of that mentality where we want to be proud of the things that put us down. We want to be proud of the things that kind of hurt our development, that hurt our growth, that hurt, our ability to see things in positive lights and things like that. Because like I said, now that I'm sitting here talking to y'all and doing this episode, I figured out two things, you know what I'm saying, why accountability means so much to me. And I know I said the other one earlier. I have to run the tape back to figure that one out. But I just learned two things, man, off of my trauma. And I mean, that just furthers my point that my trauma helped, or the trauma, I won't say help, but the trauma I developed in my trauma. And I guess it's showing now when I'm as an adult, and I'm having to now sit down and look in the mirror and really self-reflect and ask myself, why do I do these things? Why do I act these ways? Why do I react to people doing things like that? And now that I'm putting that mirror in my face, it's making me realize that it's my childhood. a lot of things that I went through that I didn't heal from because, again, I didn't know that I needed to heal from them. I didn't know that these were bad things. I thought these were just normal things. You know what I'm saying? So when I say I don't know how to create a safe emotional space for, the person that I'm with romantically, I don't know how to lead in certain aspects. I know how to lead from a physical protecting way and from a financial providing way. Those things I understand, but trying to provide emotionally or trying to protect emotionally, I don't know how to do that. I know how to do it physically and financially, but I don't know how to do it emotionally because I didn't get to see it. I saw my mama go through a lot of things with some of the people that she was with, and I get it. She tried to hide it from me, but you know what I'm saying? You still see some of those things. You can't hide everything. And so I didn't see that. I didn't see people creating safe spaces for each other emotionally. I didn't see that, so I don't know that. That's such a foreign concept to me. So I don't know it. So I can't really even say having my father in my life, because who's to say I would have even seen it then, but just to have a positive, good male role model in my life who did do those things, it would have helped develop me in those ways, as far as dealing with my emotions and dealing with my feelings and creating spaces where other people can, talk about their emotions and their feelings with me. You know what I'm saying? I feel like that's what stunted, that not having that positive male role model in my life stunted my growth there. And then, I've already talked countlessly about, having to take on the responsibility of raising my brother at such a young age, that, how that's affected me. But again, you don't know until you go through things, and now you got to sit here and really self-reflect on your actions and your reactions, that you start to see, oh wow, no, I did need a positive male role model in my life, because for the longest time I would have told you no, because I've seen people from my neighborhood grow up and do just fine. Again, on the outside, you don't know what they're going through internally, but on the outside, doing just fine. So I'm like, what I need my father for? But now that I've gone through relationships, and I've started to see, and it's like, well, you start to really sit down and you start to think, well, why didn't I learn that? Why didn't I develop that? Why? Because I never saw it. Because I never knew it existed. I never knew that it was a thing. And to some people who've seen it their whole lives, they're going to look and be like, how did you not know? Because I didn't see it. I only know what I see. I only know what I'm around. You being a product of your environment is a real thing, but at a certain point, you got to realize that, you being a product of your environment is only an excuse, but for so long, because at some point you do know better. So now you got to do better. So now I'm at the point where I'm starting to know better. I'm starting to learn better. So now I got to start applying that to my life, and I got to start doing better. But yeah, for the longest time, I didn't think anything about it. I didn't think it was trauma. I didn't think it was anything. I just thought it was regular life. It was normal, because it was. It was normal life. That's just what we went through. And it's just like, it's so crazy how many people from similar places where I come from, we live in trauma every single day, but we do it like it's normal. And it's hurting us. Like, it's really hurting us. It's really messing with the way that the way we develop. It's messing with our mindset. It's messing with everything. It's throwing everything off, because we don't see it as trauma. We just see it as everyday life, because no matter where we look, to our next door neighbor, the person across the street, the person down the street, the person 2 blocks over, they're going through similar things. So it's kind of like, nah, okay, this is what everybody goes through. This is just normal life. But what we don't know is, in the next town or in the next area, wherever, you know what I'm saying? And honestly, sometimes it's like the next area, it's like it goes on and on to where people are doing, going through some of the same things. But we all know those areas where it's like, oh, they sedity and stuff like that. But it's like, it's not that they're sedity. In some places it might be, let me not. But it's just that they're getting to live normal lives. You know what I'm saying? These kids are getting to have, we looking at it like it's a luxury. Oh, you got both parents? Oh, they get to only work one job and then they get to come home and be with you. Oh, you living luxurious when really they living normal. But we look at what we doing as normal, so we see them as as living luxury. We looking at a kid who grew up in a 2-parent home. Oh, you living lucky, you living good. You know what I'm saying? You made it, and you know what I'm saying. And really, it's just like that's how it should be. That should be normal life. You know what I'm saying? Both parents in the home, both of them got a job. They do their job. They work their shift, and then they come home and they got time to spend time with you, play with you, have fun. Do your homework, whatever, and you get to see the love, and and that's how you develop. You develop off of what you're seeing. You seeing what your mom going through. You seeing what your dad going through. You seeing how to treat a woman. You seeing as a woman. You seeing how to be treated. You know what I'm saying? That's the way it should go, but unfortunately for a lot of us, again, where I come from, we didn't see that. We didn't grow up with that. We don't know that because that's not what we see. That's not a part of our life. And then if we do have a friend who has that and we go over there, it's like, it's a whole new world. You uncomfortable over there because this ain't real life. This is a little fairy tale. We look at them, we looking at that lifestyle as like a Disney movie. Oh, you live in a Disney movie right now. You know what I'm saying? When, that's just regular life, or at least it should be regular life. And it's just so crazy that we deal with so much trauma from such a young age, that trauma becomes normal. Trauma becomes our comfort zone. Trauma just becomes, just that. It becomes our comfort zone. We become comfortable in trauma. We don't know how to operate in nothing but trauma because that's all we've done most of our lives. And man, it's crazy. It's crazy. It is. It's crazy. Especially when you start to see things, and you start to realize things. But But now, like I said, we starting to know better. We starting to learn better. So we gotta do better. And I feel like it's even worse for people who raised in the trauma, know the trauma, see the trauma, understand the trauma, and they're not doing what they need to be doing for their kids to keep them away from the trauma. And I get it, certain things are going to be out of your control, but if the things that you can control and the things that you can do for your kids, for the next generation, to keep them away from being raised how you were raised, do what you got to do for them, man, because you know how messed up this trauma is, and you know how it can mess us up easily because we grow up in it and that's all we know. So we don't even know that we're inviting a stranger in, you know what I'm saying? Figuratively, we're inviting all this trauma in because we don't know what trauma is. We just know that we just see it as regular life. We don't see it as trauma. So, it's definitely time to start doing better. It's time to start healing. I'm always preach. I'm always talk healing and doing better and motivating and uplifting and empowering. So we definitely got to do a better job of healing from our trauma, so that way we don't put those traumas on the next generations, our younger siblings, our kids, and so on and so forth. So we got to be that barrier for them. We got to start healing, and we got to start letting those traumas go, so that way they don't have to deal with those things and they don't have to see those things, and they can start growing up in normal, loving, caring environments, and they can start developing the right way. But that's my message for today, y'all. I appreciate y'all taking the time to listen on whatever platform y'all listening to the podcast on. And for the people that's on YouTube watching, I appreciate y'all taking the time to watch. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and let's continue growing all 2024. Y'all have a blessed day.